there big differences in alcohol consumption here in Australia as opposed to back in Sudan?
Oh yes, there are. Look, back in South Sudan, alcohol and obviously other drugs are pretty much considered to be consumable by a certain generation. If you look at the alcohol, it's pretty much considered to be, it's for older generation per se, and so rarely would you find young people taking it, and it is something known all over that young people doesn't have to take drugs or alcohol. But whereas in Australia here, alcohol, it's pretty much like a culture here. It's more of a culture actually, and of course young people tends to take it a lot more. And so if you compare what the people think about the behavior in South Sudan and right here in Australia, it's pretty much different, and that has conflicting to an understanding of why now that young people are consuming alcohol here in Australia when they are supposed not to traditionally, or what culture says back home. So I think looking at these two, there has to be common understanding that, okay, we live now in a different world where alcohol consumption is pretty much culture. So how do we, have to understand and cope with the situation, and be able to support young people who may be, or anyone who may be actually involved in alcohol or any other drugs consumption. So yeah, there is pretty much that differences, and what is needed generally is understanding of what we used to know and what is currently existing here in Australia, and yeah, such that the community is aware, instead of still believing in what we initially know of drugs, or rather alcohol used to be for older generation. We live in a different world whereby, okay, alcohol is pretty much available, cheap, and it's legal also at certain age, and therefore all we need to know is that, okay, since it is available and legal, how do we support each other? How do we support young people involved, or anyone within the community that is involved in such um, yeah, in alcohol and other drugs consumption? Thank you.
I just want to add a little bit as well. We talked about shame earlier in regards to the differences between alcohol consumption in Australia as well as in South Sudan. Is that in most social gatherings in Australia, as we can see, a lot of people do attend and consume alcohol, whereas in Sudan it's quite different. Additionally, as well, like in Australian weddings, people tend to consume alcohol sometimes, whereas in Sudan, if you are a young person and you consume alcohol, you may not even have that first wedding to begin with because of the shame attached to it that you drink. So therefore, maybe no one will give you their daughter, or if you are a female, then no one will marry you off to anyone's son because you drink alcohol. So that tend to be quite a bit of a big difference.
And Yak, I was going to ask a question or the three of you in Sudan. Is there a type of alcohol that is traditional or used at festivals or certain times of the year that is not a recognised alcohol we know here, but it's something that's made for special occasions?
I mean, growing up, I heard different types of alcohol. Not that I consumed them, but I heard different types. And there are three types that I know of. There's one that is made out of honey or sesame seed. And there's one that is made out of sorghum, which is pretty much the strongest, which is similar to vodka, basically. It just looks like water, like clear liquid, look like water. And that's quite a dangerous one, like where, if anything, a lot of elders don't want young people to drink that. And then there's another one that is traditionally made from, I don't know, it's a weed or something, but it's more like a beer. That sometimes, young one can probably have it, but it doesn't get you drunk, but it's something that is traditional. But the water looking, the vodka looking one is the one that is quite, like, quite strong, and a lot of elders or the community don't want young people to drink it. So yes, there are different types, and one of them is quite not, I mean, not the one that a lot of people prefer to drink.
Okay, so there's no actual type of alcohol that is used in an event, like a tradition.
The one I said, the one that is a bit not too strong, that is often in a lot of events, but then again, a lot of the elders would drink it. And then there's the stronger one, people drink it, but not commonly. So yeah. So they do exist, but it just depends on your age group. Different age group would drink it.
Yeah, you're right, Anyak. And yeah, like you said, anyway, the traditional one that is pretty much made of a sorghum or a wheat, it's pretty cheap when coming to preparing it, and that is a lot more common because it's accessible and people can just make it so locally anyway without a lot of expenses. Whereas the one that is made of yeast and sugar, it's a little bit expensive, and that is, it is distilled and becomes to look like a liquor one, which is quite strong. No one knows the level. Others says it's 100% alcohol, and some say it is 98. None is pretty sure of the alcohol level, but that one is pretty much Kong one. And then there's another one made of dates, the dates plants. That one is also not really common, but it is also so strong. So yeah, so different varieties of different beers and alcohol stuff. Yeah.
And I will give you some of the names in case for people who don't know how we call them. The vodka, the one that is similar to vodka, generally in South Sudan is called aragi, but in Dinkan language it's called monchol, which means the black whiskey or something. I don't know. And then there's another one is called monger, which is the white beer or something. I don't know if I'm translating it well in Dinka, but the monger is the wicked one. It's not too strong. The monchol is the one that is very strong, which is aragi in Arabic.
I just also wanted to add a big difference, as Deng mentioned, would be like accessibility. Like here in Australia, there's bottle-os in every suburbs. Like there's one literally 10 minutes away from my house. Whereas back home, you have to make it, and that takes time. And a lot of the older generation here, because they're so used to having the one that is made, they're not really, I guess, eager to be like making it. They'll rather just go to the bottle-o and just buy one that's already there. So I guess, yeah, here we have more advantage of pre-made alcohol.
And with the moonshine, I think I would say what they had in America back then, the alcohol provision, I think we have that in Sudan, because the police would just turn up, whoever is making it, they'll just destroy everything. So it's kind of like underground as well. It's not just made by everybody. It's kind of like, in black market or something like that. So not many people make it openly. It's actually, there is some sort of alcohol provision because of the culture or by law, but it's still that people don't want to expose themselves distilling the moonshine or anything. So yeah, that's a big difference there as well. And I think for South Sudanese, they are worried of alcohol destroying the young people. So that's why they destroy it. So it's not even more about tax or getting money from it. It's just that the more you sell alcohol, then the young people will drink it, and then the community or the society at large with them more likely to have a lot of alcoholics. And I think that's what they don't want to happen.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, that's very wise from the Sudanese elders. And I would say that also older adults here worry about the young people and the easy access to alcohol in Australia. And also this idea that you can't go to a social event or a party and not drink. A lot of young people think that if I'm going to have a good time, I must drink alcohol or do drugs even. And, I guess that's something that we're all trying to change with our work and our education, is you can actually go to a party and not drink alcohol and still have a good time.
I guess what that brings up for me too about society is, in Australia and coming to Australia, invariably people say, we're going somewhere, let's meet up. In Australian society, invariably, a lot of people would say, I'll meet you at the pub.
Yeah.
That would be a traditional social meeting place.
Yeah.
Whether it's abused or not, the alcohol, but I'll meet at, well, usually a meeting place would be a pub, which would be totally different than Sudan. So you come here, and as you're, you know, getting into societal norms, and you can say where we meet at the pub. It's a hard thing, isn't it?
Yeah, you're right, Ronan, because yes, traditionally, I mean, the last place for anyone from South Sudan, or in particular from Dinka culture, the last place you want to meet somebody is where they're selling alcohol. You try to stay away as far as possible, so you don't even get associated with being around there, because once someone see you around that area, even though you are not even drinking, they're like, okay, you are looking to drink, or maybe you become an alcoholic or something, you know? So yes, quite totally opposite from Australia.
Yeah.
Another thing is, here in Australia, young people have like access to getting their own like apartments and, you know, their own places where they can host like little parties and have like friends over, and not like, you know, having adults know their business. Whereas back home, if there was like a gathering of youths, everyone, like the elders will know what's happening there. Like, you know, everyone's in that business. So here there's more privacy and more, I guess, freedom in what you can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So opportunity there, hey, to do what you want to do. Yeah.